Cool. All right. Hey, welcome to episode 4 of the Blinker Fluid Podcast, brought to you by us, your local obsessed detail shop. We specialize in paint protection film, ceramic coatings, and paint polishing. And our belief is that if you are crazy about your car and if you're obsessed about your car, that you should be handing your keys over to somebody that's just as obsessed as you are. And we aren't your average detail shop. We don't charge like a normal detail shop. But if you, like I said, are looking to find somebody that you can trust with your car, that's your baby, then I just ask you to give us a shot. So that's our small segment of this podcast where I'm going to try to sell you something because I believe that it's valuable. So
it is valuable.
Yeah. So in this podcast, we were just going to quickly kind of recap 2020. What a crazy year. I feel like it will never be forgotten. I posted on Instagram about that, how it'll never be forgotten, but I honestly, I'm grateful for it. So I feel like maybe we could talk about some of the lowlights and the highlights. And then I'd like to kind of quickly talk about, I guess that could just be one of my highlights. So you want to kick it off? Maybe hit me with the best highlight, Napa Auto Spa 2020, the best low light, or the worst low light.
Want to do highs and lows for Napa Auto Spa 2020?
Let's do it.
Highs and lows for Napa Auto Spa.
Do you want me to start him?
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't talk about this beforehand, so we're just kind of going off of it.
We leave the shop at 3:30. It is 3:24.
Yeah.
So we're like, hey, we need to do a podcast. I feel like it's obviously, it's going to be tough to not have the top part of 2020 be moving into a shop, something that I've dreamed about for years and years and years. I've been obsessed with cars since high school and working in garages. I'm sure a lot of you guys listening or watching know what it feels like to always want like that fine-tuned like not premier, but just the fine-tuned place to be able to work on a vehicle, And as I got into detailing, it was just always a dream of mine. The amount of times that me and you have been working in the hot sun in a driveway or in a dealership parking lot and dreaming of a shop, the moment where that amazing guy, Tom Kern, shout out to Tom Kern, my real estate agent, handed over the keys to this building. It was a great feeling. So that has to be highlight 2020. Being able to have a shop that matches the passion and the vision that I have for the business,
for sure.
Because it's tough to replicate that out of a van.
Yeah.
Low light, is that a thing? Low light's a thing.
Light?
Yeah, it's a thing. Okay.
There's filters for it.
Man, probably the cancellation freakouts.
Oh man, it's just
and there's been multiple. This is fresh because this happened this week, and we were able to fill the spot, so it was fine. But that freak out moment where you have 3 employees and a shop rent to pay and all kinds of stuff to do, and then you have one of your biggest jobs for the week, drop out. It's worrisome. So
it's not the best feeling.
Yeah, it's not the best feeling to try to scramble, and it's one thing when you're working out of your van. It's like, okay, I don't have work this week, I can organize stuff, but it's another thing when you got a lot of overhead to pay. So yeah, what about you, man?
Yeah. Highlights and lowlights. I've only been, we talked about this loosely. Like August was around the time that I rejoined.
Yeah.
So it was what? We got like
the Napa Auto Spa cult.
The Napa Auto cult.
Yep.
And we've done a lot.
Yeah.
We've done a lot in the past.
A lot of cool cars.
We've done a lot of cool cars.
We've done a lot of
interesting cars.
You could do highlight, low light of cars.
Dude, I'm down, bro. I'm so down.
I already know what the low light is.
I mean, there's a couple. There's a couple low lights.
There's no way. Okay. Yeah, I'll let you say it.
I mean, the ones that we did, like, so we had a couple cars that came through the shop that we did, but some of the stuff I wasn't there for, some of the stuff,
True.
Some of the stuff we didn't physically do. But in general, just out of like, okay, we'll do a tier list, okay?
Okay.
Sketchiest detail or sketchiest thing. sketchiest thing I've had done or what I've had to do at the shop so far is when we had that 1934 Accord in.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't start.
I think it was cool though.
It was really cool, but didn't start. Doesn't even have like a normal transmission. It's like a weird like arcade game transmission.
Yep.
Where you're like in the it's
car from 1934.
Yeah.
The transmission operates off of a solenoid, an electronic solenoid.
It's crazy. And so we had to push it in and out of the shop. And this was during
we did.
This is during the fires. So we had the car in the shop for quite a long time, longer time than was comfortable.
Yeah, because the barn where it was being stored was in St. Helena.
Yeah.
So the owners were like, "Hey, could we store it at your shop for a little bit?" And we're like, "Yes, even though our shop's very small, but we'll make it work."
We fit 3 cars comfortably. Maybe.
I don't know if I'd call it comfortably.
I mean, we could fit like 3 sedans comfortably.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
Or maybe a truck and one more car. Yeah. And so we had like some pretty nice cars in that week, including that car, and moving that out. And then I think at the end, we ended up having to jump it multiple times.
Oh yeah.
In order to get it to like do anything.
But the thing is, I forget what it was. You couldn't. Oh yeah, you couldn't just push it because you guys are probably like, oh, why don't you just push it in and out? Because the transmission was stuck in drive.
Yeah.
And you can't just push the clutch in like on a normal manual. It's like you have to start. Oh, that's what it was. You have to start it in order to get it to shift because it's electronically controlled. You had to start it in order to get it to shift, and it was like impossible to start.
Yeah. So eventually, somehow, me and one of the other guys figured out, like by accident, complete accident, how to get into neutral.
Yeah.
Completely.
Literally just playing around with it.
Just messing with this thing. There's no indication of when you've shifted. It's just like you shifted or you didn't.
Keep in mind the guys that dropped it off, like
they couldn't drive.
They couldn't drive it. They were like, yeah, we have no idea how to shift this thing.
And so when they finally came to pick it up, we had to get it to start so they can drive it up onto a trailer.
Oh yeah.
And we used multiple different avenues to jump the vehicle. We used my Volkswagen Jetta. We used the shop van. We used multiple things. Also, the battery is located directly under the driver's seat.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just like jump it and then drive it normally. You have to hover over the battery that's like getting increasingly hot because we didn't have long enough.
I think it was a 6-volt battery. And we were jumping it with a 12-volt battery, which is why it was getting so hot.
Dude, it was getting so hot. And so I'm like hovering over the battery.
Yeah.
Like, so that was a little sketch. That was a little sketch. Very interesting time.
What about the worst? It doesn't have to be a car too.
The worst, like, just, the worst. In all of my Napa Auto Spa or just 2020?
Sure. Yeah.
No,
it's 2020.
Okay.
That's a whole nother episode.
I think frustration-wise, it would have had to been the motorcycle for me. We did an all-black motorcycle, and for something happened with the coating. Like, no matter what you see on the internet, the coating we apply here is different. It's difficult to apply. You can mess it up very badly, and somehow there were steps missed along the way, and we applied the coating to about 50% of this motorcycle.
Yeah.
And some way, somehow, the coating instantly flashed and hardened on the paint.
Yep.
And of course, right before then, we had a certain polisher, a very, very small
nano polisher.
Yeah, our nano polisher. That's perfect for all those little nooks and crannies. Yep. And
literally course, the worst week.
The day before it broke.
Yeah.
And it was all in all the little areas, all the little like tiny areas that you needed the nano for were the spots that had the most flash. And so I ended up spending a good portion of time just like with my hand in a rag and some polish and just buffing it out by hand. And that was probably the most frustrating thing I've ever had to deal with because it was just so annoying because we spent so much time on it, getting it nice and then putting it on and then realizing that it was like all over the thing was just like flashed and
high spots are annoying.
Yeah, it's just not
so what he's talking about when he's saying flash is like when you apply a coating, if you don't, we can quickly rant on this real quick, but that's a kind of a separate topic. But when you apply a coating and you don't wipe it off quick enough, depending on how quickly that coating flashes, which Crystal Serum Ultra, this guy right here, is it flashes extremely quick, and if humidity levels are off or anything like that. You know, the temperature in the room.
Even
I mean,
like
it's just
we spray the stuff down with isopropyl alcohol beforehand. If the water in that is too much, like the dilution is not good enough, then you left water on it and then it flashes on that. And so that's super temperamental with like that
very
kind
temperamental
of stuff.
Yeah. But so what you're saying is like, so I think, I don't want to call him out, but one of our guys was applying it, and he stayed late applying to like a majority of the bike, and then there was a bunch of high spots everywhere. So you had to, did you already say you had to go through and hand polish everything?
Yeah, hand polish.
So that was
like just one finger, just going for it. It's just difficult, very difficult.
Fun stuff. What about your favorite car?
I think there's a couple, and depending on.
Before you do that, quick rant.
Okay. Rick Quint.
You just mentioned that there is some information online that would lead you to believe that all coatings are the same. Can you quickly touch on that?
Well, there is, there's even in the coatings that we apply, and you know this, but some of the people might not, that there is difference in levels, hardness, durability, like stuff. They're different coatings, and we have some different stuff from G Technique here. We also have some separate more consumer grade stuff,
right? And
consumer, just as a person who's applied many coatings alongside Damien and alongside the people here, it's the coatings have different. They're very different in the way you apply them.
Different.
Yeah, they're just different. They're not the same in any way. There's not like, the only thing that's the same is that there's some kind of ceramic in it,
right?
Like
the active ingredient is typically going to be, it's not going to be exactly the same, but it's probably going to be, and at the end of the day, it's the amount of that active ingredient suspended in the solvent. The reason why I say this is because there is with this industry growing, with people, I'm sure you see ads all the time popping up on YouTube with the like, hey, here's another spray ceramic coating that people are labeling as a coating, and then they lead you to believe that it's all the same thing. It's definitely not. There's a huge difference between a consumer grade coating. I just posted a video about this, but a consumer grade coating and a professional grade coating in application and durability of it. Yeah. Not even in the same boat. And even within the professional grade coatings, another little mini rant, there is also some big differences between them and the type of installers, the type of detailers that companies allow to be accredited. There's some companies that just throw somebody in accreditation and say, here, apply the product. And what that typically means to me is that what that does mean to me is that the product is easier to apply. Therefore, it's going to be less durable. And that because they, companies that are selling this stuff, I'm sure G-Technic, if they were to sell Crystal Serum Ultra to the everyday consumer, they would get so many bad reviews. It would be insane. Yeah. Their Better Business Bureau page would be lit up with claims because people would be like, oh, you screwed up my car. Now I had to spend $1,000 to get it repolished, So these manufacturers make easier to apply products so that the installers can apply them easily. So all that to be said, Crystal Serum Ultra, the reason why we chose it is because I did a lot of research, and I believe that it is the most durable coating on the market. And that means a lot to me, because if I'm building a business based on the best, I want it to be the best. We're running low on battery here, so
for sure.
Real quick, what was your? Sorry for the rant.
You gotta let it out.
What was your favorite car of the year?
Favorite car of the year? Oh man, we've had a lot of cool cars in here. Let me look at the Instagram, because we have a lot of cars on there. Dude, the Subi is always going to be one of the better cars that we did. Yeah. Just because we made the video on it, so I just like spent a lot of time looking at that car. Yeah. Oh, I loved that blue, the blue BMW we did when we first moved into the shop. This one, the 435i. Yeah. The blue one. Had a little bit of fun with that.
That thing was kind of special because it was like the first coating that we did in this shop. Yeah. Or like the other shop we did some other ones, but in this shop it was the first. Yeah.
Also one of my first coatings.
It's true.
So
dude, cool. the first coating that you did, Crystal Serum Ultra, was on that Volvo.
Yeah, that was whack.
And that was literally the hardest paint I've ever polished.
That was whack. The car was beautiful.
I was ripping on that thing with a rotary, and it still would not cut. That was so frustrating.
I remember that.
I've never polished paint like that before.
It was cold out there too.
Yeah. Yep. Grateful for. you say it was cold
It was cold.
in the shop?
No, out there when we were painting. We were washing the car. I remember it being cold as heck.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right.
What was your favorite car, Damien?
I don't know, man.
I mean,
probably the C5 that we did.
the which one?
The black one. Yeah, that something like non-metallic. I want to call it flat black, but just like pure black paint.
Yeah.
There's like properly polished non-metallic black paint. I don't think there's anything that, because I enjoy the car, but I more so enjoy the paint. Like it could be a 80s. I don't even know if there's such thing. Yeah, there is an 80s Corolla. What am I talking about? 86. Anyways,
80s horse-drawn carriage.
But yeah, I care about the paint. Like when I can bring a car from something to something.
Right.
That's what's exciting to me. So,
the process.
Yeah,
it's
just
the friends we
it,
made along the way.
Yes, friends with the paint. Nice to meet you.
Hello, friend.
Yeah, man, that was just nuts, man. It just looked like a piece of glass, and going across that hood, like looking at the light in the hood, it's insane.
Yeah. Some of my favorite like cars are the cars that look the worst when we start, and then they look we did that Boxster. Did that Boxster. That one was fun because it looked like it was very, very scratched up, and we have before and afters on the Instagram, and it's just hazed up, scratched up, and then the after of it, even though we didn't get to do as much as we wanted to, it still like just looked insane. Yep.
I got one more like win of the year to talk about, and then we can wrap this thing up and go home. I went out to Washington a few weeks ago. In case you guys missed the video on my YouTube, I went out to Washington a few weeks ago to get trained for paint protection film. It's something that I've been looking at doing and contemplating and strategizing and kind of figuring out what manufacturer to go with. Same thing that I did with G-Technic. Because there's a lot of manufacturers out there, and a lot of them, there's a lot of good manufacturers out there, but there's different things within the industry that are kind of frustrating. Like a lot of manufacturers are starting to, I don't even think I've talked to you about this, but starting to move towards being like brand specific. So like if I were to go with a certain brand for paint protection film, then they would force me to use their ceramic coating,
right?
Which, like, as a business owner, I want to be able to provide the best to the customer, not just be locked into a brand, So that means I don't want to just install one product, So I want to, if there's a coating that's better, paint protection film that's better, I want to bring that together and kind of give the best of the best. So anyways, long story short is I found S-Tech, a couple other people that I know that are installing it or are partnered with a shop that is installing it, and went out to Washington to get trained a couple weeks ago. And I'm very excited to be bringing that back to Napa. Couple notes on S-Tech is that it has the DynaShield has a 10-year warranty, self-healing, hydrophobic top coat to it. Has a poured on top coat, not a laid on top coat. So it has better stretchability, which typically going to mean that you're not going to have as much distortion when you stretch around panels. Kind of some cool things. And then the main thing for me, the big kicker was it's still a relatively thick film, but it has an incredible optical clarity. So for me, if I'm applying film over a vehicle, especially if, like, say we go through and wet sand and polish a show car, and now I'm applying PPF to it. I want that film to look like it's not there,
right? Yeah,
as much as possible, So I from the research I've done and what I've seen as samples is that S-Tech is one of the has the best optical clarity. So you literally looks like it improves the look of the vehicle instead of reducing
for
the
sure.
gain. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so I'm pretty stoked about that, man. That was a huge win, a huge highlight of the year, being able to go up there and get trained. And so we're now accredited installers of S-Tech's DynaShield and their other films, fashion films, stuff like that. So
So
if you are looking to get, specifically if you're buying a new vehicle or know somebody that's buying a new vehicle, we're going to have some introductory rates for paint protection foam application. Even though we're new to it, I'm not going to let something leave the shop if it doesn't look perfect, even if that means applying it 4 times or having somebody else come in and apply it. So if you know somebody that is buying a new car, or you yourself is buying a new car, we're going to have some great introductory rates. Please spread the word. And I'm really looking forward to just providing that service to the Napa Valley. So
absolutely.
Got anything else?
Same time, around the same time you were gone. One of the highlights definitely was having, being able to feel comfortable in the shop with, like, you being away, customers still coming by. And even though it was a rough week as far as like physical tiredness between me and the other guys.
Yeah, you guys crushed it.
We got everything done. We got everything knocked out, toned in, whatever you call it. dialed in. Is that what you say?
Yeah.
It says dialed in all the time.
Matt Moorman, Obsessed Garage.
Yeah.
Dialed in.
It was cool to
it was cool to see on my end too.
Yeah, it was cool to see all the guys stepping up.
I barely had to call them. I barely had to. I mean, you guys would call me occasionally, but it was, you guys were crushing it, and it's a good feeling to know that we have a group of guys that, that can deliver an excellent product and excellent customer service, and that I don't need to be there to breathe down your guys' neck. It's really, really cool to see. So, props to you, man. You really, really crushed it. So,
I think they're good guys.
Yeah. You're awesome, man. So cool. Well, it's been a good year. Grateful for our team. Grateful for the support, people supporting local business in the middle of a pandemic. It's been really cool to see. So I'm excited for this year and some, new services and just what this year is going to bring, man. I know it's going to be incredible. Probably see some cool cars in here and stuff. So, yeah.
Cool.
I think that's all we got. So we'll catch you guys on the next one. If you guys made it this far, shoot a comment down below with your favorite win of 2020 for your own personal life. And we'll see you guys on the next one.